And I'll tell you guys since we're all friends. Every character I write has a piece of me in them. Hi, I'm Lee Bardugo. You're listening to the GrishaCast.
Welcome to GrishaCast, episode 73. In this episode, we will be discussing episode 3 from Netflix Shadow&Bone, Haute Kazatsya. This is your host, Eric.
And I'm Terry. From Nashville, Tennessee, this is your podcast for all things Grishaverse.
A world created by the human rights activist who bravely speaks up even when advised not to comment, Lee Bardugo. Moi savayenyi, casters.
Hello.
Woo! We got some listener cities.
We do. First, we have Bogota, Colombia.
Oh, that sounds nice. Everybody, everywhere sounds so nice.
Everywhere but here.
Yeah. And next, we've got Denton, Texas.
Ooh.
Thank you, listeners.
Thank you.
We appreciate every single one of you.
So much.
So much. So, for those of you that want to support our podcast a little more and reap the rewards, we now have Patreon.
Woohoo!
Each tier will receive a video of us and an exclusive access to a new segment, GrishaCast After, where we talk a little bit about the Grishaverse and a lot about being best friends.
There are also tiers that grant you a co-producer and even a co-host status. Check us out at patreon.com/GrishaCast or follow the link at GrishaCast.com.
Yeah, and we've even got some like really cool videos where like I try to teach you Ravkan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Come on, Sesame
And we're
Street.
going to have so many things.
We are. We're like,
So many.
so we've got something very special for you all this podcast. I was about to say this evening, and I was like, wait a minute. No. So we have a very special guest. We are celebrating this person's birthday.
Woohoo!
They were born and brought into this world and brought us wonderful art and loves the Grishaverse as much as we do. Real quickly, this is dedicated to her.
The power of Christ compels you!
Oh my God! Happy birthday, Kendra!
Happy birthday!
Yay!
That's the best introduction ever.
Oh my
I
God.
think. Yeah.
We'll have to do it every year. So
Thank you. I appreciate that.
that's awesome. So did you have a good birthday?
I did. Yes, thank you. I can't even believe I'm like officially an adult now. Like that seems pretty bonkers to me.
Wow. Well, girl, what kind of cake did you eat?
I had a chocolate cake with like buttercream frosting and it was delicious.
I bet.
So good.
This sounds really good. Sorry, I'm just like, I haven't had. Yeah,
Birthday cake is kind of
it's my
Eric's
thing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, since I've gotten COVID, like I had it, like I still can't smell and taste everything the way that I did before. It's so weird. And my birthday was on Christmas Eve, and like I had someone make this like white chocolate like cake for me, and it was every time I ate it, it tasted different. Like sometimes I couldn't taste it, sometimes I could, sometimes it tasted a little It was never the same thing. Hey, well, at least it's an experience. But
Well,
yeah, something new every time.
totally.
So we are so happy to have you, and you were a guest. You were one of our very first guests,
Mm-hmm.
and you create some beautiful, amazing music about the Grishaverse, and I know that you've been working on it and creating more. And you just released another one that like is beautiful. Fallen, is that correct?
Yes, that's it.
I've had it in my head all day.
That's amazing. Thank you.
I think I really love it so much because the lyrics are beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
but I also just love the way that I guess Alina and the Darkling, their story to me is just, I don't know. I love it. And I love that you went for something new because you always, didn't you always used to like just write about the Six of Crows. Like those are like so. I love that you did the Darkling and Alina and Fallen. Like that's amazing. Like it's really cool.
You.
So for you listeners out there, just hop on over to GrishaCast.com and look for links from the show, and you will find the link to her lyric video of Fallen. So it's amazing. It really is. So,
Thank you so much.
so before we get off that subject, what are like? Do you have any future like plans and ideas or things that you want to do with like songwriting and singing?
I do. Yes, I am hoping to release a fifth song in the next few months, and it is based off of Zoya,
Oh
which
my
I'm
god!
very excited about. Uh, yeah.
I'm about to have a heart attack. Okay, amazing. That will be like our anthem, my anthem. Awesome. Oh my god. Okay. If
Thank
I
you.
get any
I'm
idea,
super excited.
yes. What inspired you to do a song about Zoya? Uh-oh. We froze for a second, but it's okay. Kendra, are you there? Oh no. Wait, she's coming back.
Can you hear me?
There you are.
Hey.
Yeah, and we don't edit this show. We're just gonna keep that in
Okay,
there. So,
cool.
did you hear what I asked?
I did not. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
What inspired you to write a song about Zoya?
Well, I actually started writing the song before I decided to write about Zoya. I had a bass line idea for the song, which was the very first time I'd ever written that way. Usually I write with chords first. And it was for a production class that I was taking. My homework was to write a song based off of a bass line that I came up with. So I wrote like the first verse and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a Zoya song. I'm so excited. And it just hit me. And so I've included some stormy elements, so to speak,
That's
you
awesome.
know, in honor of her, of course. So yes, I'm very excited.
Oh my gosh, and I'm excited now because, listener, she has not finished Rule of Wolves. So that Zoya story in Rule of Wolves is incredible. It's so cool.
I'm so excited to read
You're gonna love
it.
it. Which, by the way, segues into the show. The show, I think it's so weird watching Zoya's character because she's so like she doesn't have a huge part in season one at all.
No, it was bizarre for me because I remember her character so differently. And I think that, the actress who plays her is fantastic, but I was kind of thrown off because I was in the middle of a reread of King of Scars when the show first came out. And so I was like, this is not the Zoya that I'm thinking of right now. But
Right.
I think so. I'm very excited to see if they continue the show, what they will do with her character development, because I think she's an incredible character and deserves all of the wonderful things.
Yes, I agree. Her character, like, I mean, it's amazing to watch her, especially from where we started with like her in Mean Girls.
Yeah,
is
she was a
where
mean
she
girl.
is where she started, and it's just her character is really cool to watch develop all the way through the Grishaverse. I love her character, and I love her story. I
Yeah.
love her strength, and I mean, come on, she like there was one part like I mean, she goes and walks into the fold by herself, like without like she's just like I'm gonna go after like after they destroyed Novosibirsk, right? Because that's where her like
Mhm.
she like walked into it by herself. That's a strong person. So
Seriously.
yeah, I could not walk into the fold by myself. I won't even walk into the fold.
Me either.
So, what do you think about the Volker, by the way? Weren't those horrifying in the show?
Oh my gosh, so crazy. When I saw the trailer the first time. My jaw just about hit the floor. I was like, it was different from what I had imagined. I think it's kind of impossible to match it up to what every single reader like thinks of when they think of Volcra, but they were wonderfully terrifying and just like way better than I could have ever imagined. So I loved it so much.
It was emotional seeing that stuff. I remember when they released the picture of Alina looking at the fold, and I cried
Yes.
because just that was just an image in my head for so many years, and to actually see it, it
Yes.
was so incredible. And uh, so the show was so good.
Yes.
And so I forgot to ask you. I'm so sorry, Kendra. What pronouns do you prefer that we use?
Oh, I use she, her pronouns.
Okay, awesome. And I love asking our guests this. Do you have a Grisha name or a Grisha title?
Well, I have been thinking on this
Hmm.
and I'm not sure about the spelling. Maybe you guys can help me with that, but I would probably go by Corporal Kai Kendra because
Ooh.
I like the way it sounds and I would probably want to be a healer if I were in the Grishaverse.
Oh,
Although Heartrenders are very cool. I think healer fits better with my personality. I'm not sure. But
yeah. Yeah, I totally see that. I'm trying to think of your spelling because that's the fun part.
You
Because,
should
like,
use a Y instead of the E. So KY.
okay, yeah, exactly. Because mine's E. I'm sorry, ERYK. So yours can be KY.
KYR. No, N. KYN.
Watch us try to spell.
I know. Basic spelling.
PCs with Grisha cast.
We'll have to think on that. The spelling is the fun part, though.
Definitely a Y instead of the E.
Yeah, because that's really
Like
cool.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
So another question: if you were Grisha and you needed to get an amplifier,
Yes.
what what amplifier or animal do you think would be your amplifier? I know that's such a weird question, but like
Ooh.
it's it's intriguing to me to think that like
Yeah.
yeah.
No, totally. I really love, I'm a dog person. So I feel like this is kind of relevant for Rule of Wolves, but honestly, I would probably choose a wolf. But I don't know what that symbolizes yet in Rule of Wolves. So I'm not even sure that would match up perfectly, but I think wolves are amazing. And I love, love, love Matthias' story with Trassel. Not so much,
Yeah.
everything about it, but just their relationship. And so, yeah, I think that would be really cool. But I think that the way of obtaining amplifiers is kind of insane. And I'm not sure I could even go through with any of that. So, but yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, that's the weird part. Because like you want an amplifier that's from your familiar, but you have to kill them. So
Yeah.
Well, you have this connection. So like I mean, they kind of from King of Scars, I kind of got like you kind of become one. Like I mean, that animal lives on in you, kind of like how the dragon that like I mean at the end of King of Scars, how like Zoya got the dragon from Juris. Like he's
Yeah.
like a part of her now. I will say, Terry and I, when we watched the show, I was very, very freaked out by the amplifier in the show. That is not the way it was written in the book. In the book, it was jewelry, like
yeah.
cuffs and necklaces and collars, but not like bones protruding out of your weird.
Yeah. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yes.
I was pretty much beside myself when I saw that. I already knew like where we were going with, Alina's and the Darkling's relationship, but that was a next level of insanity.
I agree. It really freaked me out. Like it made me like it just like it was really weird, and it's just
Can't look at it.
no. I remember you were having problems. Like I was just like it looks uncomfortable. Like just anyways.
Yeah.
So poor Alina, she's gonna have to have that forever. Like I mean,
Yeah, and she has to like wear the scarf over it. You know, like she
Yeah.
did in the book where she wears her scarf over it. Like,
Because that's
how
going
do
to
you
hide it.
hide these lines?
And then she has to get other amplifiers. Like, so she's just going to, it's going to be, interesting.
Body
It's crazy.
mod.
So,
Yeah.
yes, definitely. Kind of like the new kind of piercings. How were you introduced to the Grishaverse?
It was in my freshman year of high school, and my English teacher was recommending books to me. And he was like, you need to read Six of Crows and Red Rising. And I was like, no, I have so many books on my TBR right now, but, thanks for recommending them. They sound cool. And he was like, no, you don't understand. You need to read these books. I was like, all right. So randomly, I chose Six of Crows to read first. And instantly I was just like pulled in, and never in my life had I been so attached to like the characters of a story, and the plot was incredible, and I was like, I think this is my favorite book ever. And so obviously after I finished the Six of Crows duology, I moved straight to Shadow and Bone, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. The Grishaverse is an amazing world, and it I don't know. There's just something about it that's just like, obviously it's magical, but like it draws you in. And I remember specifically reading Shadow and Bone at at a specific part of my life when I needed it too. It was like it was I don't know, it was just kind of emotional in a way when I think about it, and it's kind of cool to see where we are now. And these are cool stories, and I can't wait to see where they go.
Yes.
So, before we let you go, we want to play a quick game with you.
Okay.
Okay, so I played this with Terry once. She thinks I'm crazy about it. It is just word association, but I named it Inferni Flame Association. So,
Okay.
because we got to have a Grishaverse twist.
Oh
So,
yes.
I'm going to just say a word that has to do with the Grishaverse, and you just say whatever word comes to mind. Okay?
Okay.
Quick fire.
Yep, quick fire. Exactly. Okay, so here we go. Are you ready?
I hope, yes, I think so. Yes.
Okay. Darkling,
Kaz.
Fjordan,
Matthias.
Inej,
Kaz.
Moritsova,
Stag.
Shadows,
Bones.
Apparat,
Priest.
Fallen,
Darkling.
Milo.
The goat.
Yay! That was fun.
Kaz was the only thing popping in my head.
I know. It's
When you said Darkling, I thought of, and I don't know if I can talk about this episode or not, but it has to do with Kaz and the Darkling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, the standoff scene was the first thing that popped into my head, and I was like,
yes.
after that, I was like, what else can I say,
That was so cool.
It's what we all needed.
Yeah, to see that was amazing. It was awesome. So, well, Kendra, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. We are so happy that we were able to catch up with you, and we would love to have you on again. So, and next time you will be you'll be one of the hosts. So you'll actually who knows what we'll be reading, and we'll have some fun. So
I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure to be here.
thank you so much, Kendra. You have a wonderful rest of your birthday celebration. And
Thank you.
yeah, everybody go check out Fallen on our website, please.
Yes.
It's amazing.
You'll love it.
We love you, Kendra.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Bye. I just love her.
Oh,
Okay, so we have to get started.
yes.
I love Kendra, and I get lost into a conversation with her, and now we're 20 minutes in, and we're like, okay, we got a show.
Yes.
So, Oat Kazatsia
Yes.
is episode 4.
Okay, so quickly, they don't ever address in this episode what that means.
I was about to ask you, I don't think I ever heard them say that word.
No, they didn't. So, as I was doing my reading today, I found a fun little thing. It says, the word the philosophers used to describe people born without Grisha gifts, otkazatya, the abandoned. It was another word for orphan. So, that's from the book, what otkazatya is, in case anybody was wondering. I know most people have read the
Right.
book, but like just in case, it's one of those weird words that they don't tell you what it is. So that's what it is. So Mal would be an otkazatya
Yes. Yes. Yes.
right now.
Yep. Yep.
At this moment,
Otkazatya.
he is an otkazatya.
Which is like, it's such a weird, like, I think it's so interesting that they named this episode that. And I feel bad if, like, for the people that haven't
Yes.
read it, like, they're probably like, what?
What is that word? But yes. So I don't know.
Yeah. So, anyways, the episode starts with we see the first army marching,
Mm-hmm.
and this whole episode has a lot of reading of letters.
Yes. I think that's why it's called otkazatya, because it has a lot to do with Alina and Mal's relationship.
Right.
But this is another one of those episodes where it goes back and forth and back and forth. I literally have like a line by line, and it's all different scenes. But yes, Mal is now writing to Alina. He's not getting her letters. Like, it's very clear he's not getting her letters because he's like, why haven't you written me?
I've written you 3 times, haven't heard from you. And clearly the same thing's happening to Alina.
Yes.
She's not getting Mel's. So they both are like pretty, just worried about one another, but also going down a dangerous rabbit hole of pretty much thinking that the other person doesn't care at all.
Right.
And
But this is like a cool part too, because they're marching into like different cities. And this is the first time we really get to kind of see where the people are drawing saints. We hear about this in the book, or we read about in the books a lot, where they draw the saints or they're painting it, but we actually see it. And it says our saint has arrived with like a picture of Alina on it. And in Ravkan, it says our saint has arrived. And I actually went through and like translated it. It's like Via Sancta Saluhan. But then somebody, after everything had like been destroyed, had gone in and written too late.
It's
But
really
that part isn't actually in the alphabet, so I couldn't actually translate that one. But yeah, we actually got to see.
It's interesting. And they also like they say that because they're entering a town, they say Chernes, and that the Fjordans are attacking at night.
Yeah.
But like, why?
Exactly.
Like what I mean,
why? Like, are they? My thought is that maybe they're like looking for Alina. That maybe they're like they're going through all these towns rummaging. But like, surely they have to know that she's at the little palace.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they're just mad and upset. They're Fjordans. I don't know. But yes, they never explain.
Yeah, they just keep on attacking little towns at nighttime.
Yeah.
And the first army is just like running around trying to like save everybody, but
it's not really.
But they don't have like bulletproof coats like the Grisha do.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's sad.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get a new directive.
Yes.
That they now are gonna try. Someone needs to try to find Mortsova's stag. So the first army is given that directive, and they're like,
find the stag and win a trip to the little palace.
Hey, it sounds great to me. But everybody thinks it's funny and made up because they mentioned it's a part of a fable.
Yeah, it's a story. It's not a real thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they say like the Sun Summoner was a fable too. So now they're having us try to find the stag. And Mal, we know, like, he wants to go to the little palace and wanted to like get there.
Yes.
And then luckily his friends were like, hey, like, you can't just leave and go. One, you can't get in there. You don't want to become a deserter.
To be invited.
Yes. So it's the perfect opportunity.
So he volunteers as tribute.
Yes, he is tribute to find this stag.
All on his own.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
So he's gotta find the stag, which, by the way, is just a drawing that he recognizes
Mm-hmm.
that I'm assuming that he's seen Alina drawing throughout her life.
Yeah, because in the last episode, she's like, "Dear Mal, I've dreamt of the stag again." So in the
Right.
show, they, I guess, have had these conversations that she dreams of this stag all the time.
Hmm.
And so the picture that they show them at the First Army in this episode is one of her drawings. He recognizes it as one of her drawings. And I think that also was like what made him want to volunteer, because he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, something Alina touched."
Right. And obviously, if it's like something she drew,
Yeah.
then like it could be like something for her. Like he's wanting to try,
Yes.
like, I mean, that love.
Mm-hmm.
So then we go to the little palace, and Alina's up in her room, and Jenya enters and tells her, "Get out of bed, girl.
You're gonna go riding
You're
today.
gonna go horseback riding
In a
It's
kefta.
in a kefta, and look, it's new and it's black.
It's black.
It is. So, we actually have clip 1. Let's show this, please.
Why? Is he angry? This might do the trick. Black is his colour, not mine.
Morning.
Morning. You're not wearing your kefta.
Did you not like the colour I chose for you?
You're the only one who wears it.
Tell me, are you so anxious to be like everyone else?
It'd be nice to know what it feels like someday. General.
So, love that.
So in the book, the black kefta doesn't come out until the fate,
Right.
and it's a silk
Yeah.
thing. But she actually does choose to wear that one.
But in the book, she does, like, at first not wear it at first.
She doesn't want to
Right.
wear any kefta at first.
Right.
Like
So-
in the show, she's like anxious to wear a kefta. She's like, "Give me one now."
Yeah.
But in the book, she's the opposite. She's like, "I don't want to. I don't want to wear a kefta."
So she then, like, of course, like, surprises the Darkling, walks out with her blue kefta on, and he's like, are you so anxious to just be like everybody else?
Be
Or-
like me instead.
Yeah, so weird.
But this is also where he tells her to call him.
Okay, so yes, this is a huge thing.
Yes.
Because he says his name. He says, "Don't call me like
Don't call me General Kerrigan. Call
me
me
Alexander."
Alexander.
That does not get revealed until Ruin
The
and
very
Rising.
end. Like the very end.
Exactly. Like,
Call me by my name. Whisper my name.
and throughout the Grishaverse stories, like, his name is something that's like this myth. Like, when if you read like the story of him as a kid, like it goes into like all the different names he's
He's had many
and
different
like
names, yeah.
exactly. So to find out what his actual name was when we read it was really cool. But like here,
Yeah.
just episode 4, it's
No
just
big deal.
there we go.
No big deal.
But hey, it's interesting. So then we go to Krabirsk. With the crows in East Ravka, after they barely made it across the Fulge. And they are in a bar and kind of trying to, like, I guess, pretty much figure out, okay, what's our plan now? We
Yeah.
actually made it.
They got to figure out how to get into the winter fete.
Yes, they do. Because they were going to have Nina, but they...
Yeah.
which
That
is-
ain't happening no more.
Yeah.
But
Ca-
this is also where we say goodbye to someone very special in our lives.
Oh, yeah, we're almost there. So, Kaz finds out that Krabirsk actually houses the blueprints to the little palace
Yeah.
in this little town. So, that's an idea. He's like, okay, well, there we go. And now, yes, we are going to play clip 2 and say goodbye to someone very special.
I leave you a bullet to remember me. Let's promise never to forget each other, my love. But I must go now. I leave you in the care of this lovely barmaid who needs your support here.
No.
Ugh,
No.
Milo is like, oh, I love it.
I know.
And I still think I'm psychic because I posted that goat picture way before the show came out. And anyways, Milo's adorable. I
Yeah.
hope he makes it through all the seasons.
They're
and
gonna
we
eat
get to
him.
watch him like, oh,
They're gonna eat him.
girl. I was scared. They
They're
were
hungry. They need food. They're
Well,
gonna eat him.
don't eat Milo. No, he's too cute. Come on. He's like you can pick him as your Netflix icon. You
I
can't eat him.
did.
I know he's mine
But
too.
like they are going to eat him. Like they're having to cross the fold to get food. They're not going to keep food as a pet. It's just not gonna happen.
Jesper is not going to eat Milo. He's attached
He
to
left him.
Well, he left him because he's going on his
I know he left him with the barmaid. The barmaid is gonna be like, "Y'all hungry?"
I think he's going to come back. So,
So Kaz at this point tells the conductor, "Here's some money. Go make friends. We
Yeah.
need a ride."
exactly. Go do this. And then I love this next scene. We go
Switch.
we go back to the little palace. We're back with the Darkling and Alina. And I love this. So we're going to play clip 3. This is at the well.
I'm just not sure I understand where this road leads.
I do know how you feel, Miss Farlow. When I was a boy, I used to run away and hide here. Once I realized that I was a descendant of the most hated Grisha in Ravka, I'd come here, throw a coin, make a wish in the fountain. Same wish, over and over again. And I could be anyone else.
So
Yeah. Okay.
that's interesting. Just I thought it was done really well. I like the whole fact that there's this well, and then he goes into the fact of he's named after he's related to the
He's a descendant of the most hated Grisha ever.
right who he's talking about the Black Heretic.
Yes.
Supposedly. And now we're going to go right back into the next clip, which they're still there. But this part is really neat because this wasn't in the story, but it's the history of... You'll see. So let's play clip 4.
You know it just from these old pictures?
Of course. Every child learns a history, not just Grisha. Hundreds of years ago, Nastas, the king, hired a Grisha as his military advisor. Shadow summoner.
You can say it. The Black Heretic.
The heretic grew hungry for more power, and the king, fearing a coup, put a bounty on his head and any Grisha that stood by him. The heretic knew he was outnumbered, so he attempted to create an army of his own using the same forbidden science Morozova once used to create his amplifiers. But he failed. He created the Fold instead, and was killed by it, along with countless others.
See, that's just awesome.
It is. Also, can you imagine? Like, she doesn't know
No.
who she's talking to, but can you imagine you're telling the story of what happened to the person that is this horrible person? That would be nerve-wracking. It's a good thing she doesn't know who she's talking to.
It's so weird because he's really, really old. I mean, he looks great, but he's been around forever.
Uh-huh.
And he has just so much history, but oh my gosh. I mean, I think that history was kind of neat because I don't remember reading that exact story about it ever in the books, because they mentioned a king's name that I never heard of, that I thought was kind of cool. We read about the Black Heretic, but
Yeah.
I just think that was cool because it was it's also it's on a well and it happens to be there, and yeah, kind of cool stuff.
And then she's like, I'm worried about failing. And then this is where the big line comes in. You and I are going to change the world, Alina. And then we cut out of that scene.
Yes. And we go to Mal packing for his
He's
trip.
Writing another letter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Or he's saying in his head or something.
Yeah.
He is saying,
We're
"Hey, later."
we're hearing it.
Uh-huh.
And
I hear it all the time, Mal.
and then his good old buddies, Michael and Dubrov,
Dubrov.
say, "Hey, you know what? We ain't gonna let you go do this by yourself. We're gonna come with you."
Oh.
How nice.
Okay.
So he's got some company.
And then like that's it for that scene.
Yep. But we go to a really cool scene because this is my
Yes.
favorite. We get Bagra. I love
Mhm.
Bagra. So and we get to watch Bagra is just trying to like obviously like get her powers stronger and stronger. Question, what do you think stacking books like on top of her, like I mean just keep on putting like in her
I have no
hands is gonna
idea.
do
I
to
was
help
thinking
her?
I was thinking maybe just to like make her uncomfortable because she talks like in the show she's talking about how she shouldn't be training with Botkin. Like she doesn't need to
Right.
be like strength training or whatever. So like I don't know. It just it made good TV. Is probably
It-
it was a good
I love that whole scene, but that one part just
know.
she's like putting books on top of it and Lena's holding it. I'm like, what is that doing? What does that have to do with the sun?
no
So-
idea.
Anyways, so Alina's exhausted.
Mhm.
Bogger's just tearing her apart. And so Alina then sits down with her besties for some din-din, or some food at least. And she's just worried that she won't ever get strong enough. We do have to remember, like, she's still really new to all this.
Yes.
Like, I mean,
But she also like takes this time to talk about Mal.
yeah, she does, like, actually tell her friends about him. And,
Everything will be better when he gets here.
Yep.
Eh.
And then we skip on over to the Royal Archives heist.
Complicated heist time.
Yeah, I actually like paused this and wrote down like
Yeah,
all of it.
I did too.
Okay, cool. Because I was like, I didn't get it when we watched it because it just goes by really quickly.
So the funniest thing is the first thing you see Kaz
Oh my god, I know.
dressed up in this like I'm sorry, it's probably bad.
Oh,
Anyway, but like
it-
he's a fancy pants sculptor, and he like,
that is so it's hilarious. That's not Kaz.
It's very funny.
And never would I've ever dreamed that we would see Kaz like pretending to be
No, but it's good to see because they're in the books. They tell stories about things that he's able to accomplish. He
Right.
was able to talk people into this and whatever. And so, but you don't know exactly what he had to do or how he had to dress or how he had to act. So it was kind of fun to see, like what lengths he's going
exactly
to.
like how far he went.
Yes.
Because in the books, I've always just imagined it's just like
He just
dark
beat
and he
him.
beating everybody. But this, he like actually gets like he's like, okay,
He's
character,
an actor.
exactly. Let's get our costumes on.
Yes.
So he gets his costume on, and he is just this famous sculptor named Ivanovsky, and he just does. He's designing a piece for the Winter Fate
He needs the dimensions to make sure a sculpture will fit through the door.
because it might be too grand.
It might
Be
be
too grand to go
too
through.
grand.
So he's just like, please, I need to know how big
For the
these holes
king.
are.
Tell me how big your hole
What are the
is.
dimensions of your hole? Of the
I need
hole.
to know
So
to put things in it.
okay, so what is interesting is Kaz then the guy's like, okay, yeah, I'll go get it for you. Kaz has a circle of red phosphorus.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever heard of phosphorus?
No.
Okay, neither had I.
I mean, it's like
A chemical.
yes.
Okay, like I actually asked my Alexa and it like started like reading
Yeah.
the periodic
Yes.
table. So like this is like
I put it in the same category as like sulfur and
it's pretty clever. I mean, obviously, like, I mean, I don't know where he got this and like how they came up with it, but apparently it's really light. He throws it and it gets directly under that guy's shoe.
I know.
And then just
And so he's walking with it, like leaving a trail.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you can't see it except it.
Nope,
like,
not yet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, anyways,
But like during this exchange of Kaz being all like smiley and like, oh my goodness, great, fantastic.
yeah, I know. And
It's
then
funny.
like because when he gets it back, he's like, he says something like about may the saints like the sun summoner like bless you or
Yeah.
something, and then like the guy's like, I don't really believe that, and like Kaz's like, oh, neither am I.
I don't either.
I'm like,
But yeah, so we've got the little red disc thing. But
yes.
then so the next thing is that Jesper is going to go in after sunset dressing as security.
And it's so cute.
It
That
is really
outfit is
cute.
adorable.
Jesper's just adorable.
I know, and I love
Kit
Jesper's
is
like
adorable.
his outfit's just so cute.
I know. I mean, he's perfect to dress with his long, lanky legs. But so his job is to turn out the lights, and
Yes.
Inej is gonna come in through the balcony, and she's gonna come down all like Tom Cruise style,
Which is
and then follow that phosphorus trail into the blueprint room, and they can't take it because he uses all the time. So she's gonna make a copy of the blueprint.
yeah, with this mysterious paper and
They're just gonna bleed
spray.
it if you get it wet, and then like put other paper on it. Then it'll just transfer. Is basically what she's doing.
Right.
But they get interrupted as she's trying to leave by the guards.
Yes, and I actually had this as a scene that we were going to show, but I took it out because we had too many. But I thought it was so cool and clever to watch Inej
Yes.
work that way because you got to finally see.
She does her wraithness.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was incredible.
She gets behind the guard, and as he's moving, she's moving behind him to keep out of sight. It's like all sneaky ninja.
And
But it's awesome. It's really cool. But it gets her locked in there.
yeah, it's neat to see her do that because like she does it through all the stories that we read, but we never like to see it, and like she's just pretty much is guessing like how he's gonna move. Like, I mean, it was really cool. But Jesper does save the day.
Yep.
He ends up like he shoots
the lock.
shoots the lock at the same time, like the
As the chimes
yep.
go off. Yes, that's exactly what happened there. And then all the three meet up.
And they all walk out of the little. They all walk out of there with the blueprints.
Yep.
So they
Heist
got
done.
it. Yep. Heist is done. So
Mhm.
we had one. So that's kind of cool.
Yep.
And now we go back to the little palace, and we're in the Darkling's quarters.
Mm.
And the Darkling asks Fedor about Nina Zenek,
Yes.
which is just really random.
It's fun for us people that
It is, but
Yeah.
it's just so random.
I think it's a way for them to incorporate Nina into the storyline, because we've had issues before trying to do her storyline. You know, like we
Well,
were like,
yeah.
how old is she for this? And
Right.
so I think it's actually kind of cool.
It is. So the Darkling says, like, I mean, that she's special and she's missing.
one of the best,
Yeah.
but she hasn't checked in.
And Fedor says he wouldn't worry too much, and the Darkling's like, nope, I want her alive.
And
need-
Fedor's like, we know her. She's alive.
So, and Nina, like, I mean, she is an amazing character, and especially the actress that plays her. Oh, I really,
Yes.
really, 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 really like her.
Danielle.
Yes. Her and that video you sent me, I still watch it. I love watching him with his little toothbrush dancing.
Yes.
I don't even listen to that music, but I was just like, oh,
Yeah, I knew you had to have it.
he's so cute. So, then we
So,
go.
yeah, we're back at the Crows.
Yep, the crows are looking over their map,
Mm-hmm.
and this is where the conductor, who like actually helps them out. So they're still trying to figure out how they're going to get into the Winter Fate,
Mm-hmm.
and it happens that they have, I guess, like a talent troupe that is practicing in the same bar area.
Yeah.
And they're looking at the map, and you all of a sudden just see this woman just like
She just falls from the
she
ceiling.
just falls from the ceiling, and
And that's it. Like, and the conductor smiles, and then we go back to Mal, and the two of them in the forest, and
yes,
they have magical stag poo.
that was so entertaining to me. That like
That's weird.
it is. So it's obviously like frozen. It wouldn't smell, but like they find
He said it was dry.
it magical poo.
Magical stag poo. Yeah.
Let-
So he actually, one of them, I don't know which is
I
which,
couldn't
but
remember. I didn't know which one it was either.
One of them picks it up, and the other one is like, "Why do you have poo in your hand?" And he was like, "If we don't actually find this thing and we go back empty-handed, at least I have magical poo. They're gonna give me money for this because it's magical stack poo."
He calls it scat.
Yes,
Magical
that's,
deer scat.
scat is more of a scientific term.
So, I mean,
but yeah, so that's what we got for that, and that was all that scene.
so hey, for those Grisha out there that can't find an amplifier,
Have some.
don't worry. Just go
magical
find
stag
an
poo.
amplifier's droppings.
Yep.
Oh, that reminds me of like the Jurassic Park scene. Ew, when I just said droppings.
Alrighty.
Yes. Okay, so
Back on the ship.
yep. We're back on the ship, and
Matthias brings her a little snack.
he does, and like
It looks
she's
so gross though.
yeah, and she's not having it. He admits that he wants to ask some questions,
Yes.
which is interesting because like I think he's trying to learn a little bit more about the Grisha. Like I think from the
Yes.
way, because I mean he's
Are your
curious.
parents Grisha?
Right.
Were you born a witch or was it by choice?
Right. And we know that he's very feared, and so he's been taught a lot of
Grisha are evil and should be burned at the stake, and that they kill Druskella and Fjordans every chance they get.
yeah. And I think Nina got into his head because I think when they talked about the trials, like I mean how like
How
he
many?
he was saying
yeah.
that like, well, you have trial when you come to Fjorda, and she's like, yeah, but how many people like
Right.
survive?
How
like,
many are actually innocent?
yeah. So I think it sparked some questions in his head, and
But Nina's not having this.
no,
Like,
she's feisty.
she is sassy.
Mm.
She's not having it. So Matthias again is like, all right, well, let me ask you about the Darkling. Nina's like, nope, I'm not a traitor. Not giving you any answers. So Matthias actually gives her the snack anyway.
It looks like a little piece of bread or something.
To me, it looked like a fish, like
A
like
fish?
a whole fish. Anyway, I
Cod.
don't know.
Ugh,
Cod, yes.
That's so feared in
So-
of them too.
My cod. So he gives her a bite of the food, and he's like, that wasn't so bad. She spits in his face,
Yeah, she's feisty.
and so he's like, all right, see ya.
You're gonna want it sometime. Eventually, you're gonna eat
You're gonna want this.
Yeah. So then we go back to the bar in Krabirsk,
Yep.
and we learn a little bit more about what happened. So
Mhm.
the conductor pretty much like put this whole shenanigans together. So I didn't know what this was called. Flying on silks.
Yes.
Okay, I had no clue. So
Yeah, she's on the silks.
yes, so that was new for me. So for listeners, if you didn't know what she's doing, it's called Flying on Silks. I guess I'm the only one. Whatever. I thought it was beautiful, and I was just like, I didn't know it had a name, Flying on Silks. The conductor pretty much planned the whole thing
Yes.
for
He
like
caused the performer to fall.
exactly by pouring something on it,
Yeah.
made it slippery. So then like
Now they need someone new. Who will they
And
ever
then they just-
find?
yeah, so they just look at Inej. I'm sorry, but I mean like
Well, the conductor brought him over. Like the conductor, this guy's name is Marco, and he is
Right.
the leader of these players. So like he actually went to Marco,
Right.
and he was like, "Hey, looks like you're gonna need a new performer. Why don't you walk over here with me?"
But how does he know that Inej can do that?
I don't. They've probably had
Maybe conversations. That's right. So that is kind of cool,
Uh-huh.
and she
So she gives a little show.
she does, and then we find out that in order for them to be part of it, everybody's got to have some part of this.
Yes.
So Jesper then he takes a playing card and has it in her mouth and shoots it.
Yes, shoots it out of her mouth, and so he's in.
Yep. And then they look at Kaz, and he's like,
Nope.
I got my own way in.
He's like, "No, thank you."
I'm not gonna. I've already done acting today.
Yes.
And so, real quickly, like seeing that card, the playing card, I would kill to like if someone would work with me and design a like deck of cards from like, I don't know,
I'm sure
like
someone will do that.
that
I'm
would
sure
be
it'll be on Etsy at some point.
that'd be so cool to do, you know? Um anyways, okay. So then we go back to Bagra's hut, and this is where we Bagra is still trying to like get Alina to like
Yes.
get her power.
Yes.
And this is our clip 6. So,
Our own people turning their backs on us.
oh, I'm
It's
sorry.
not clips.
That is not clip 6. That is not clip.
5.
Oh, okay. I mean,
Yes, 5.
yeah, maybe I went. I'm sorry. Hey, yes. This.
I think I need an amplifier. Something to boost my strength.
You can't light a doorway on your own. What would you amplify?
When Kerrigan touched me,
General Kerrigan can't be your crutch forever. And the use of amplifiers is a barbaric, lazy
you could at
practice.
least try to be encouraging.
I'm not your mother. But I guess you'll always be looking for one of those. There she is. Welcome.
I love it because one, like, I love Bagra, but I think it's cool the way that like she already like talking about like using an amplifier is cheating.
But in the book, it's her that wants Alina to have an amplifier. In the book, she is begging the Darkling to get her an amplifier.
Well, someone obviously has reread Shadow and Bone.
Yes, they have.
Go,
Thank you
girl.
very much. And
So that's-
I'm trying to read
Yeah.
along as we're going through here. But yes, in the book, she talks to
Really?
Alina about the amplifiers, and then she begs the Darkling to find her an amplifier. And so then Alina then hitches her wagon onto that too. She's like, yes, I need an amplifier. But then at that point, Darkling says, you need the stag. I'm finding the stag for you.
I remember that.
And they're like, no, just get me any amplifier. It doesn't matter. I just need anything. I can't wait for this magical stag if it exists. So that's where that comes in. She in the show, Bagra's like, it's barbaric, but in the book, she's the one that starts this whole like she needs an amplifier.
Yeah. I think it's neat because just from the like most recent novels, like like learning about the amplifiers and like, you know, I just think that's so cool how I think it's neat. I love Bagra. I love that. I love the actress. I don't know her name, but she does an incredible Bagra. I will like, she is who I will always picture. And I want more Bagra stories. I really do. Like that woman is amazing.
Yeah, she was in the book more than she was in this
Yeah.
season. But she gave her like some sort of tea.
Yeah, which like I'm
takes her back to the orphanage
Yeah,
of the day that the testers came
to find out what happened. Like
to find out what happened. So they can't test Mal because he has an injury. They said
Mhm.
that an injury, they explain in the show that if you're injured, it's not going to work because they use an injury to get it out of you.
exactly. They use
So if you're
pain.
already hurting, then it's not going to do
work.
anything for you. So they want to they obviously remember they tried to run away.
Yes.
And they're gonna try to at this point too. They're like, let's run away. We can't hide forever, but we're gonna run away. But then like this mug breaks,
Right.
and
They get
Anna
caught.
comes in and they get caught and they drag her back in there. And it shows in the show that she uses part of like a
Part of I think
shard to cut her hand
Yep.
because she had heard
yeah, so I
that
think
if she hurt,
if she's concentrating on that pain, then the pain that they will use to try to get the power out wouldn't affect.
So, thinking about this, I was very curious because Eric and I had conversations about did Alina know if
Right.
she was a Grisha or not? Because, like, I don't think either one of us had really caught on to that. And we were like, yeah, maybe she did. But in my reread, I find this memory in the book where she says, the woman in red slides her hand down my wrist. I feel a sudden rush of pure certainty wash over me. I stop struggling. A call rings through me. Something within me rises up to answer. So yes,
Yeah.
she feels it. She doesn't know she's a sun summoner because
She doesn't
she's
know what
never
that
let her
is.
power out. But at this moment, she feels
Yeah.
that she is a Grisha. And so apparently she's able at that point to like push it down.
Yeah.
And then on the next page, she says, I had made my choice. I pushed my power down and held it there each day with all my energy and will without ever realizing it. I'd used up every bit of myself to keep that secret.
And that's how, like, what's really cool is that's the way that Lee describes the power, like, through those novels with Alina. Like, I mean, like, how it's, like, something she can push down and she feels it, like,
Right.
literally, like, and it's really cool. I can't remember. I love it. There's some part in it's maybe it's at the very end of Shadow and Bone when she like really lets her power out where the description of that of her
Right.
honing in on that power. Yes, it's
Like
her.
she lets it release.
And
but,
then it's so cool.
but yeah, so we know for certain
Yeah, she knows.
that she knew
Yes.
and that she has spent her entire life holding it down.
Yeah, exactly. She's been scared of it. She's and then in the show, I mean, obviously she knew too because I mean, she's trying to get them to run away. Like she knows like I mean, she had to know.
Yeah.
So,
So I thought that was interesting. So I had to share that with all of you.
which is really interesting because do we ever hear about Alina's like family? Like I mean like
We do it. So we do at the very end. Remember, they go back to the town with the two mills.
right.
That's at like the very end.
But do we know anything about like her
I
like
don't think we know 100%, but we do start to know a little bit.
right.
Yeah.
Be int- so
At this point too, Bagra. No, hold on. Where am I?
where are we? Hold on.
Yes, Bagra says, you were holding back.
Mhm.
And you're holding back for Mal, basically, like because she says, "Who are you holding back for?" And we know it's Mal because she keeps thinking about it.
Right.
So I think this is where she starts to kind of get in her brain about, oh, maybe I need to let this go.
Exactly, which is a really cool lesson that, you know, I mean, she's been holding on to this like fantasy
Mm-hmm.
of Mal like in the novel, it's very clear that she has a crush on Mal. In the show, I feel like they didn't really like
I
don't-
feel like it's almost worse in the show
Really?
because like the way they look at each other. And
see, I feel like it was worse in the book because of like the way like she's just like
I don't like it at
Joke.
all anyway. So the whole thing is worse.
well, it's weird because we know they're all that each other has. They've been best friends
Yes.
forever. But at the same time, like it's yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that love story, you know. So,
So at this point, we go right back to the palace where she finds Kerrigan
yes.
at the war room.
She can't sleep. So she gets up and I thought this was really neat because I you know, I'm a big dork. So the war room was neat to me. I have a still picture of that. It's picture 1. And that table is so cool because I just like I never imagined them actually doing that and like the way that supposedly they've got the fold on
Mhm.
there and it's just like it's really cool to me. Um I would die to have that in my house. It wouldn't fit any
Oh
like
gosh, no.
but like how cool.
Yes, that is very cool.
Alina asks if the map is like current because like I mean it's showing where like all the different like people like places are and people and the Darkling is like yeah and that they're unfortunately what Ravka would be okay if they weren't divided right now and he starts talking about how West Ravka has a general that is trying to like pretty much separate themselves from Ravka
Yes.
and be independent, which is totally new.
Yes.
And I think it's kind of neat. There is a picture of it, but like they show this general and I tried to translate it, but not all of the letters
Right.
are letters. So, I mean, here's this general, but I don't know what to tell you that says, because only 4 of those letters actually are in the alphabet. That
The
very very first
yeah,
one
the very first one.
on the left, that is nowhere in my Ravkan alphabet. So
No.
someone's made a typo.
Uh-oh.
But anyways, it's interesting. And
You got your clip.
so we do have this clip.
6.
Because yes, this is the Darkling and Alina, and it's neat because we see the Darkling showing and letting out some emotion. So, next clip, please.
Our own people turning their backs on us.
Alexander.
I have been fighting this war alone for so long. I've buried so many good soldiers, friends. The coffers are running dry, the noose tightens, and our own people are turning against Grisha just as their kin once did.
So, interesting because I mean, it's like the Darkling's letting down like a little,
Yeah.
like I mean, he's
We get to see the softer side.
yep, and then she obviously shows him a little bit of the power she's been learning. Like,
Yeah, she's doing the "you're not alone" thing, like he said to her.
yep,
But this is where he takes her face in his hand and he gets real close to her and it's all sexy and he's like, "I've been waiting a long time for you." Woo! If that doesn't make you feel something, you're broken because that was hot.
I also thought it was interesting because it was very unexpected to see the shadows start coming, like his anger, like
Yeah.
he really like had like there's a lot of history built up in there about like because he says like so many people, so many of my friends have died and like over this like war and
Yeah, but I also kind of think that's a little
fake.
bit of a show because he's lived a long time. He knows how to. I think even Bagra says that at some point,
Oh
where like
yeah,
he knows how to manipulate you.
exactly.
He's been around for a long time,
Yeah,
so
you're,
I think part of that is show.
it is. I agree. I think the Darkling's just such an interesting villain character that we just kind of watch.
Yeah.
So
The next 2 scenes go by like super quick. We're back
yes,
in the ship. A
yep,
strong storm is about to break the ship. The captain comes up and he's like, "Yo, Matthias, kill these Grisha because they're about to get loose."
yep.
And he clearly has an issue with that. And we jump back into the forest with Mal, and they're crossing into Fearden territory. And we jump back into Alina,
Yes.
not getting Mal's letters either.
And
She's starting to think that Mal doesn't like her. So like the scenes are starting to
Lord.
change in her brain. Her memories are a little changed now where he's let go of her hand. He's walked away from her. He doesn't look at her the same way. So she's starting to question that relationship at this point because of Bagra's words.
she's putting all these little things together, like things he said and like tying it together.
Mhm.
And she's just seeing that Mal is standing in her way. And this is our very last clip.
Needing anyone else is weak. Good girl. Now the work begins.
Amazing.
So her letting go of Mal in a way
It-
is letting her power
Yeah,
to be more free.
exactly. It's been
Um,
holding her back. So,
So back to Mal.
and the tracking.
This is I'll try to do this really quick.
Yeah.
This is really interesting where he says when she was in the tent and the light shot up that
Yeah.
he knew it was her because he heard this high tone,
Yes.
and when they had held hands as kids, he would hear that tone in the back of his head.
Yep.
So that kind of gives it away too, that like I don't know, foreshadowing things to come. But I thought that was a really interesting thing to add in there.
So he hears this tone,
Uh-huh.
and he it's snowing, and it's just him and his friends, and unfortunately, they get attacked by Fjerdan.
Yes.
And
the Fjordans attack.
yes, and
They kill Michael and Dubrov,
Yeah.
unfortunately, with his machine gun.
yes, they Mal actually survives.
He does get shot, though.
He does, but he barely survives,
Mhm.
and so a lot of stuff is going back and forth. They're showing Alina and they're
Yeah.
showing Mal. One important thing that they're showing with Alina is Alina goes to Jenya and
Yep.
says, "I want you to erase this scar on my
That's
hand."
huge because you can't get that back.
Right, and she made such a big deal about
Yep.
wanting to keep it. And then we go to Mal, and Mal's friends are dead,
Yep.
and all of a sudden, the stag walks out from the
Mhm.
forest, and
While Mal is saying,
he's reading.
"You're my true north."
So I've got this quote. Alina, if you get this letter, know that when I told you about True North, I was talking about you. You are my true north, and I can see my way to you now.
Blah.
End episode. And yeah, so a lot going on in there. But it still amazing stuff.
Yep.
Still great. So well,
Woo.
now I think it's time for us to talk to our Grisha in the field.
Ooh.
No.
It's time for some news. Ooh.
GrishaCast news!
Woo.
I know, we changed it up a little bit, but we're still gonna say it. Hey, why change it? I mean, that was kind of cool though, right?
It
Did you
was.
like that? For those watching the video, it looked like Inferni flames.
Yes.
I liked it. Hi, Alex.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you guys?
We are good. We're excited to hear about some news.
Mhm.
Real quickly, actually, before you say anything, GrishaCast has news because we have a new logo. Hope you guys enjoy that. Yay!
It's fabulous. I love it.
Thank you. Well, it took a lot of work. We all worked hard on that. So
All right. So this week we don't have much, but we do have some big-ish news continuing on with what happened a few weeks back with the brownface situation. Both Jessie May Lee and Eric, the producer, released their own personal statements regarding the matter, and it was handled well. I believe Jessie's was more personal than Eric's was, but it affected Jessie more than it affected him.
wow.
We also got more posts coming from the Shadow and Bone Instagram. We got Jessie, who plays Alina, and Amita, who plays Inej, interviewing each other, like we had Danielle and Callahan last week. We have Jessie, Archie, and Ben reading passages from Shadow and Bone that correspond with each of their characters, and it is adorable. They're in costume, and it's just, yes.
That's great.
Last but not least, we have some really cool behind the scenes stunt videos. So when they're practicing their stunts and rehearsing for those scenes, they're insane. I love to watch them.
I love them.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's weird because we had so much news all at once, and now it's going to kind of start to like dwindle down a little bit. But still, like, I mean, I didn't know that those other videos got released. I'm glad to hear that other people spoke out. I was lucky when Lee posted her like live on Instagram. That was like perfect timing. I was like, it was my 10-minute break, and like I was able to watch it, and I was I thought it was awesome because she spoke from the heart and shared about it, and I just thought it was cool because you could tell. She even said, "I'm not supposed to do this. People told me not to," but like that's how cool Lee is. You know? I mean, she knew that something had to be said, and she's just such an amazing activist that she couldn't just not say anything. So
Exactly, yeah.
I'm glad that things are being it's being talked about now, and because ignoring something like that, that's the worst thing. Like, you can't pretend it didn't happen. Like, it did, and it hurts people and it affected people, and you have to talk about these things. So I'm glad to hear Eric said something.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for our news, Alex. And yeah, so
We'll see you next week.
we sure will.
See you guys. Have a good one.
Woohoo! Bye, honey. So before we go, we've got one listener thank you. Instagram, I'd like to thank Elizabeth Laurel.
Ooh, thank you.
Yes. And yeah. So thanks for listening.
Woohoo.
Next week, next episode.
We're
be
halfway
here.
through.
We are. We're ready
We got
to
it.
say goodbye. Oh.
Like we're at the end of the hour, so my voice is a little husky. A+.
No mourners.
No funerals.
This has been GrishaCast. Connect with us on the web at GrishaCast.com. Send an email to info@GrishaCast.com.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Patreon at GrishaCast.
A very special thank you to the GrishaCast staff, Chris, Alex, Sid, and Amber.